It's 7:03 on Tuesday, September 6th. The Goldsboro City Council regular session is in session now, and call it to order. I'm going to ask Pastor Christian Powell from the Faith Free Will Baptist Church to come up and lead us in prayer. Will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Sir, please stand.
Shall we pray together? Our Father in heaven, thank you so much for your goodness on our city and on our individual lives. Now, Lord, we pause right now and we bow before you in humility. We realize that that's the appropriate way to approach you. You are great. You are mighty and awesome. And we love you. I thank you for these men and women, these public servants that you have blessed our city with. We pray that tonight you would give them wisdom as they make decisions and deliberate and ponder and listen. God, give them discernment. We know that they desire what is best for our city, for our citizens. And I thank you that power comes from you. Authority comes from you. And just as you have taught us in Scripture, we submit to our human authorities. Thank you for the men and women who lead us, especially those who protect us, our law enforcement officials. We pray a special hedge of protection over them, favor, mercy. God bless our city. Help us to turn to you, to seek righteousness and truth and equity and integrity. And thank you most of all, Lord Jesus, for going to the cross and dying for our sins and rising again the third day so that we could have a personal relationship with you. In the name of Jesus, we all pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Join me in pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you again, Pastor Powell. You're welcome to stay if you like. Madam Assistant Clerk, give us the roll call, please.
Mayor Ham.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak.
Present.
Councilwoman Jones.
Here.
Councilman Broadway.
Here.
Councilwoman Matthews.
Present.
Councilman Gaylor.
Present.
Councilman Batts.
Here. We're all here. Next item of business is approval of the minutes of the regular and work session minutes meeting of August 15, 2022. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, because Pastor Hayes, are you here? Yes. Okay. Why don't you come forward? I've been in a phone conversation with Pastor Hayes, but I've not met him. So I invited you to come down, and I'm going to read a proclamation. You have some of your distinguished ladies with you? I do. Okay, then you can call them up. So we'll just, I'm going to read a proclamation, and she's going to tell you about a little bit about her organization. This is, the Women's Generals of the Gospel Day Proclamation. Come on up.
Now, I'm going to take a picture because I didn't see anybody take a picture.
Okay. So, whereas Abba's Daughters Women's Ministry hosts and facilitates prayer walks and outreach efforts to receive and distribute clothing, food, and toiletries to those in need, and whereas staff members volunteer their services to include mental health, counseling, substance abuse, counseling, and more, and whereas Abba's Daughters Incorporated is founded on unity and love And our goal is to help as many people overall, but primarily women, become the best version of themselves that they can be. And whereas every year, Abba's Daughters Women's Ministry has an annual gathering to facilitate a particular theme, and this year it is the General's Pour. I hope I pronounced it correct.
That's correct.
Not French. Okay. And whereas with this year's gathering, Abba's Daughters of Women's Ministry hopes to bring in a group of women in the gospel to include pastors, ministers, etc., that have pioneered, persevered, and made significant impacts on the community at large. And whereas Abba's Daughters Women's Ministry has selected 15 women of this caliber and will honor them publicly for all their efforts on September 16, 2022. And whereas Abba's Daughters Incorporated recognizes the women's generals of the gospel. Now therefore, the mayor and city council of the city of Goldsboro, North Carolina, proclaims September 16, 2022 as the Women's Generals of the Gospel Day and appreciates the efforts they have made over the years.
Thank you.
Come on up here. Come on up, ladies. I'm gonna let you talk about your organization.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor Hale. He pretty much covered a lot of what we do. We are a collective. That's why we are founded on unity. All of us have separate careers and separate ministries ourselves, but collectively we are Abba's Daughters, and we host application drives. When we were doing the summer youth program, we do food drives. We donate food, clothing, toiletries to the local day centers and food pantries and things of that nature. We have gatherings every year where we provide a safe space for women to come in and receive counseling, receive support, and fellowship. So many people may have never heard of us, but we've been around since 2017, and I'm hoping this day forward that you'll remember our names. If you would like to donate, look us up on Facebook or Instagram. Donate, because we are a nonprofit. We believe in giving and being a blessing. And that's pretty much it. So thank you. We look forward to honoring these women of the gospel. We wouldn't be where we are if it weren't for women like we are honoring. So we want to pay it forward by honoring others, and hopefully, other people will join in and do the same. Thank you.
Next, we'll go into public hearings, and our planning department is going to present some zoning issues, and I'll allow individuals who want to speak for or against those to come forward after, but come on up, sir. This is Z1522, that's Avi Developers USA. I hope I pronounced that closely.
Good evening, Mayor Ham and City Council. The first conditional rezoning item we have tonight is a conditional rezoning for a PUD. As you can see on the aerial, the property is located at the intersection of 581 and 70. This property is comprised of 3 separate parcels that come in roughly over 100 acres. The property is currently owned by the Julia Neal Beckton Trust. The applicant is Praveen Thodak-Mala. The purpose of a PUD, to give you a little bit of a background on it, is to provide an alternative development procedure for a large tract of land. A PUD, or a planned unit development, provides a more desirable environment by providing for a variety of housing types, design, and arrangements. And what this specific PUD is proposing is 68 single-family dwelling lots, 100 townhomes, 288 apartments, and commercial development to include retail and office with entertainment use types. In a PUD, you have certain corresponding zoning districts that are allowed to operate within it. Those consist of R6 through R12 single-family zoning districts, R6, R9, R12 multifamily, as well as it allows for neighborhood business, general business, as well as some office and institutional zoning to take place within this PUD as well. Looking at the surrounding zoning for the property is currently located within the county. There are some properties that have been satellite annexed into the city. Those properties that have been satellite annexed in are zoned shopping center and general business. Looking at the land use plan, due to the property size of being 100 acres, there's several different land use designations that fall within these 100 acres. Those land use designations consist of commercial, mixed use 1 and 2, and medium density residential. I can tell you that all corresponding zoning districts for the PUD do align with these future land use designations. To build further off of that, the Goldsboro Comprehensive Plan also encourages for planned mixed-use developments, as well as providing for a variety of housing choices, which this PUD would do that. Looking at this proposal, the development of adequate water and sewer service is going to be, pretty critical as far as the full development of this PUD, given its size and the amount of dwellings that would be within it. This proposal went through TRC review. Seymour Johnson's only comment was no structure is to exceed 599 feet. NCDOT will be requiring a traffic impact analysis. As you can see here, looking at the proposed development, both access points are proposed to come off of 581. And you can see more toward where the bypass is where the 68 single-family lots are, transitioning into townhomes, and then apartments as you get closer to the commercial development, which is located basically adjacent to where the Walmart parking lot is, for those of you familiar with where this is. Staff is recommending approval of this request due to the fact that all the corresponding zoning districts do align with the land use plan. It would provide for a variety of housing choices. With this being a conditional rezoning, staff is recommending a condition be that the applicant or the developer of this would need to enter into a development agreement between the developer and city council before any kind of final approval was given on subdivision plans or site plans. At the time of publishing this agenda memo, Planning Commission had not had a chance to review and make a recommendation yet. Planning Commission met on September 1st, and they recommended unanimous approval of this conditional rezoning request. At this time, if council doesn't have any questions for me, they shall make a motion to adopt the consistency statement and ordinance to approve this conditional request, or they shall make a motion to adopt the ordinance and to deny the rezoning request.
Well, before we do that, let's open it up for public discussion.
Yes, sir.
Public comment. So if there's anyone who wishes to come forward and speak to this issue for or against, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak? Okay, no one's coming forward. I'll ask the council if you have questions. Come back up, Austin. Does any council member have any questions? Okay, thank you. The issue here is a motion to adopt the ordinance or deny it, the rezoning request.
Move to adopt.
Motion is made to adopt. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adopting the ordinance, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, the motion's carried. The next item is, come on, back up. Okay. Next item is Z18 Wawa, West Highway 70, and between Westbrook Avenue and Highway 581.
Good evening again, council, men and women, in the same area, general proximity. As you'll see here again, this is 581 and 70. The parcel there on the northwest side is seeking a change of zone. Developers of a Wawa convenience store and gas station are looking to rezone the property for that particular use. Just as a bit of information, this will be, if these sites were to go forward, Wawa will be the first convenience store and gas station here in North Carolina. That being said, property owner's name is Raymond and Jeanette Radford. The applicant is Mr. Jeffrey Lewin on behalf of Wawa. The applicant is requesting a change of zone for the subject property from Wayne County's community shopping zoning district to general business conditional district to allow the operation of a convenience store and gas station. The purpose of the general business zone district is to accommodate the widest range of uses, providing general goods and services to the community. This district is intended to promote high-quality, accessible development serving the needs of the community and surrounding area. As Austin alluded to earlier, a lot of the zoning out in the area is belonging to Wayne County. However, we do have some satellite annexed areas there, and those that are currently zoned as general business are the Sheets, which is directly across the street there at 581 and 70, and the shopping center zoning district where Walmart is currently located. So you have properties, surrounding property zoning districts. To the north is the shopping center zoning district. To the south, again, shopping center zoning district, Wayne County heavy industrial. East, general business, and to the west, Wayne County's community shopping. So the land use recommendation recommends this parcel for commercial development. The corresponding zoning districts for the commercial development are neighborhood business, highway business, shopping center, general business, airport business, and community shopping. The intent of the commercial land use designation is to allow for commercial land uses in the city's urbanized area within the city's central business district and along the existing US 70 corridor and along the Wayne Memorial Drive and Berkeley Drive corridors. Emphasis is placed upon control of strip development, infill development in existing commercial locations, prohibition of commercial development upon residential neighborhoods, and encourage open recreational space that provides pedestrian-friendly and landscaped areas. The proposed general business zoning district is a corresponding zoning district in the commercial land use designation. So as we've said earlier, this is a conditional rezoning. As such, the development and the land use of the property is subject to predetermined ordinance standards and the rules, regulations, and conditions imposed as part of this legislative decision creating the district and applying it to the particular property. All site plan and subdivision approvals will be subject to the Unified Development Ordinance once the property has been petitioned for annexed and brought into the city's corporate limits. Staff has distributed this site plan and rezoning case to our TRC committee. Seymour Johnson has indicated that the proposal is located within their outer horizontal surface. The maximum height above the sea level in this area is 599 feet. A TIA, a traffic impact analysis, will be required or is currently being conducted for the sites. The applicant will be required to satisfy before any driveway permits are issued. The subject property is located outside the city limits of Goldsboro. At this time, city and water and sewer are not available to serve the property. As Austin alluded to earlier, this is a project which will require those services, and the developer is currently looking at measures to accomplish that. Staff is recommending approval of the conditional rezoning request since the proposal would be compatible with the surrounding zoning patterns in the area. In addition, the proposal will not impair or injure the health, safety, or general welfare of the public and is consistent with the Goldsboro comp plan and land use map. So as Austin alluded to, again, at the time this agenda memo was produced, we did not have a proposal by the Planning Commission because they had to postpone their meeting for a later date. They did meet again on September 1st and did recommend approval of the conditional rezoning request. We are asking that in so doing, Council shall vote to adopt the recommendation for approval and the consistency statement that the Planning Commission has provided and adopt the approval ordinance with the inclusion of the consistency statement to either vote for or to deny this change of ordinance or this change of zone for the particular piece of property. Mayor, are there any questions from you or council?
Any members from the council? Okay, thank you. Yes. This is a public hearing for rezoning for the property that's described. If anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against, please come forward. Good evening, Mr. Smith.
Mayor Ham and members of council, I'm Henry Smith. I'm here to speak in support of this change, both the adoption or the approval of the annexation as well as the change of zone. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Wawa gas stations. They've been prominent in the northeast.
I like them. They're my favorite.
And I thank you for that. It's mine as well. Every time I go to Virginia, I seem to stop at one of those stations.
Yep.
They're clean, they're well managed, they're well lighted, they're kept neat. And I have learned in my connections with these people that are here with me today, which include Payman Nadimi, who is actually with Wawa, Jeffrey Lewin, who is the preferred with Capital Growth Buckhalter, who is the preferred developer, and also with Jeremy Yee, who is the engineer for the project. So if you guys have any technical questions, that's your man. But I've learned that they are substantially an employee-owned company. They will bring roughly 50 jobs per station to this community, and they pay greater than market wages, and they are a company or an employee-owned company, and so a substantial portion of this private company is actually owned by the people that work there, and so I think it's great for this community to get people that are interested in coming in and doing these things the right way. This particular site will have access from both, or has proposed access from both Highway 70 and from Highway 581. We're seeking approval of the petition for contiguous zoning as well as the change of zone from community shopping to general business conditional district, limited to convenience store with fuel sales.
Any questions of Mr. Smith? All right, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak for or against? If so, please come forward. I see no one coming forward, so I'll close the hearing on this issue. The matter before the council is a motion to adopt a recommendation for approval and consistency statement that the Goldsboro Planning Commission has provided, and adopt the approval ordinance with the inclusion of the consistency statement, or make a motion to deny and adopt the ordinance to deny with the inclusion of a statement that deems this condition of zoning to be inconsistent. So the motion is to adopt the motion or deny it. Is there a motion?
Motion to adopt the motion.
Second.
Motion made and second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor of adopting the recommendation, please signify by raising your hand. No opposed. Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Next item is Z1922, Wawa Wayne Memorial and Medical Office rezoning.
Yes, sir, Mayor. Again, the second location that Wawa is looking at is at the intersection of Hospital Road and Wayne Memorial Drive, as you see on the map. Property owner is in the name of Linda Gale Drew Wiggins and heirs. On July 6, 2009, Goldsboro City Council approved the change of zone request for these two parcels. Referenced above, from office and institutional to general business conditional district, to allow the operation of a pharmacy and the sale of medical equipment. Site and landscape plans were to be approved separately. Now, the applicant is requesting a change of zone for the subject properties from general business conditional district, limiting the operation of the site to a pharmacy and retail sales, to general business conditional district, limiting the use of the property now to an operation of a convenience store and gas station. The purpose of the general business zoning district, again, is to accommodate the widest range of uses, providing general goods and services to the community. As you will see, O&I zoning district is primarily the zoning district that surrounds the subject property. The parcels proposed to be rezoned currently are vacant and undeveloped. The city's land use plans recommends these parcels for mixed use development. The corresponding zoning districts for mixed-use development are office residential, office and institutional 2, and neighborhood business. The intent of the mixed-use designation is to allow for a mixture of uses that have a minimum impact on the adjacent areas. The proposed general business zoning district is not a corresponding zoning district in the mixed-use land use designation. This is a conditional zoning. Again, as such, development and the use of the property is subject to predetermined ordinance standards and the rules, regulations, and conditions imposed as part of the legislative decision creating the district and applying it to the particular property. Again, all future site plan and any subdivision submissions will be required to meet our UDO. Staff has distributed this to our TRC for review. At this point in time, a TIA, a traffic impact analysis, will be required for the site before driveway permits can be issued. The subject property is located in the city limits of Goldsboro. City water and sewer are available to serve the property. The property is not in a flood zone area. Proposed conditional rezoning request is inconsistent with the Goldsboro comp plan. However, staff is recommending approval of the conditional rezoning since the change of zone will have minimal impact on adjacent uses and areas in proximity to the site. In addition, staff believes the proposed use would mitigate congestion issues along the Wayne Memorial Corridor by providing a secondary means of access to and for service to the public. City and other service providers will be able to provide sufficient levels of service to existing developments as well as meet transportation and utility demands to serve the property. Lastly, staff believes the conditional rezoning will not impair or injure the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. Planning Commission was again met on September the 1st, and they did made a recommendation for the approval of this rezoning request as well as a consistency statement. Now it is in your hands at this time to adopt a recommendation for either approval or denial as well as the consistency statements for each one. Council, Mayor, are there any questions relating to this rezoning request?
Any questions of Kenny? If not, I'll open it up for public comment.
Yes, sir.
This is a matter that's open to public hearing, and anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak? Sir, if you'll identify yourself.
Yes, sir. My name is Paul Willman. I'm a current physician at Wayne Radiologists, owner and president of Wayne Radiologists. We are located just adjacent, right at the entrance to the medical offices there. And the concern is the traffic. There are a lot of patients coming in and out of there, of course, every day. If you were to cut off being able to turn into the hospital drive from Wayne Memorial, as you're traveling north, if you can't pull into the Wawa there, you'll have to pull into the hospital drive and then turn left onto Wayne, onto Medical Office Place, and that congestion in itself is going to cause a lot of backup. But with all the offices, there are several medical offices there that are going to be affected just by the traffic that Wawa will bring. I'm very familiar with Wawa. I pulled a napkin out of my truck on the way up, and it was a Wawa napkin from my son's, where he goes to school. There's a Wawa right beside it. So I'm very familiar with it, love Wawa, but I think the location is really going to be a detriment to the medical offices there off of Wayne Memorial, just due to the traffic and the confusion with patients and whatnot.
Anyone have any questions of this gentleman? Okay, thank you, sir.
Is there anyone in here that is the developer in here that is going to
We have the engineer over here and the designer.
Yes. I wanted to ask you about this particular Wawa.
Okay.
Have you looked at the transportation and the problems that it may cause to the physicians?
Yeah, well, we've discussed this site with the hospital. Jesse Tucker had no objection to this site, and we also spoke to Dr. Grant, who operates the medical office next door, and they are in support of the plan. What I would say to Mr. Willman, or Dr. Willman, I'm sorry, and anybody else, is there's no planned access from Hospital Road into the Wawa. You would have to turn off of Wayne Memorial. Well, there is an access directly onto Wayne Memorial Drive. But if you enter the medical complex over there, there would be no access from Hospital Road. You would have to then turn onto Medical Office Place and turn in. And we believe that would alleviate the concern of people not being able to get off Wayne Memorial Drive into the facility. Traffic is always a concern when we start talking about Wayne Memorial Drive. We hear it every day. The simple truth is that and I'm sorry, I don't mean to turn my back on you guys, but she asked me the questions. Excuse me, Mr. Bass, but the truth to transportation is that you have to have the traffic before DOT will deal with the traffic and improve the traffic conditions. There will be a traffic study here. We'll have to meet any conditions that are established. But until we reach the certain volume that makes us the priority to DOT, they aren't going to make improvements. We believe we've solved Dr. Willman's immediate problem, that is getting, we don't want traffic to have problems entering Hospital Road going into that complex, and so there is no access point there. We proposed one off Medical Office Place, which is visible on the diagram, and I'll be glad to try to point it out if anybody doesn't follow that, but
Okay, so let me be clear. You have talked to DOT, or you have not talked to DOT?
we
Yes, we have.
here's my engineer that has.
Okay. What did DOT say?
This is Mr.
Good evening, Jeremy Yee with Kimley Horn. My address is 4525 Main Street, Virginia Beach. So to answer your question, we've been in discussion with DOT for quite some time. We are conducting, so the engineer team, we are conducting the traffic impact analysis. So as the preliminary conversation right now, we're talking about having a right turn lane on Wayne Memorial Drive that will help to ease the traffic some. So allow me one thing I want to share with everybody about gas station. So I'm sure y'all have seen many gas stations in this area. Gas stations, they are not traffic generator. They are capturing the traffic from the adjacent streets. So in this case, Wayne Memorial is the major thoroughfare next to the site. So I don't have the report in front of me. And normally in this case, we're capturing about 70% of traffic coming from the entrance of the Wayne Memorial. You're gonna get some traffic taking the Hospital Road and medical office. That's just a nature of how the traffic works. But majority of traffic will be coming off the Wayne Memorial Drive, in and out.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. You made a comment that DOT would not act until there was a problem. Did I hear that right?
I believe that has always been the case. DOT analyzes traffic counts, and when they reach certain levels, it becomes a priority. But until you reach that level, they won't build for future traffic. They won't improve roads for future traffic. They only build roads for traffic that exists. And so you've got to hit that threshold before you become a project that is right for DOT action. But they do take into account, that's Mr. Talton indicated that a condition of this project is that any requirements of DOT will be met in order to alleviate any traffic concerns.
Ms. Jones, I serve on the local MPO board, and while I can't speak to what degree they have communicated with Department of Transportation, I can tell you that the local board and the district office out of Wilson is aware of these two Wawas that are proposed here. I can't tell you that they've entered in any type of planning or whatever justified that. It did come up in the last meeting.
Thank you.
So, beyond the traffic concerns, I'll just say, we've got a lot of employees close by here. We've got the general public that's out there visiting patients in the hospital and those kinds of things. And for them, I think having a convenience store here is a big asset. This is something, and having what I will call a premier convenience store and fuel station is a benefit. You can make the case that further up Wayne Memorial Drive in the Harris Teeter area, where I believe personally, I don't have a traffic count in front of me, but my personal experience is traffic's worse there. And having this station in this location will allow people that are traveling on the new bypass to come in, get their fuel, get their convenience store items, and turn around and go back up to the bypass without ever having to get into the thick of that heavier Wayne Memorial Drive traffic where existing gas stations are available. So I think if anything, it may actually help improve the traffic situation, but that's Henry Smith, and I'm not a traffic expert. I'm just here to tell you what I believe. So I think for people visiting family or friends in the hospital, people that are working in this area, having a convenience store here will be a great asset. I think Ms. Jones has, at my request, handed out a new map showing our proposed crosswalk. Somebody wisely suggested that we consider doing a crosswalk at my client's expense to provide for foot traffic back and forth across Wayne Memorial Drive, and you'll see that plan has been added. So we're here to address any concerns that anybody has. I'm happy to discuss at a later time concerns of anybody in the community, anybody that may be here that has concerns about this. We want to be good citizens. We want to be supportive of this community, and we want to do things the right way. So thank you for your time. I'll be
I
quiet.
have one more question.
Certainly.
Because did I hear that this particular one would have a pharmacist in it? Did I hear that?
No, I think a
Okay.
previous plan, rezoning had been submitted back, I think maybe early this year. I may have misunderstood that, but previously it was a general business conditional district. Am I saying that right, Mr. Talbot?
That's correct.
With a pharmacy, and that zoning has been approved. This would change that to provide for convenience store and fuel sales.
That zoning was approved back in 2009.
Okay, it's been quite a while.
Okay.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir, Mr.
I'm
Paul.
looking at, I don't see it anywhere in the legend, but is that a barrier that's going all the way down Wayne Memorial Drive?
Yes, this is my expert here.
I think that's a good question, Mr. Pollack. We're showing that it's one of the discussions that we have with DOT.
Yes, sir.
They have a plan to improve Memorial Drive, and one of the plans is to put a median barrier there.
Okay.
This is something in the future will be done by DOT. We want to show the future condition, how that look like, and so that you'll have a true picture of in the future what that gonna be.
I can speak to that briefly. In this, what's called a STIP, which is their long-range planning, has everything that's going on in this district,
Okay.
including Goldsboro. They show that as one of their line items. They'll take work all the way out to the new bypass on Wayne Memorial Drive.
And that plan has existed long before Water.
Correct,
became
sure.
residential.
Yep.
Thank you.
Questions?
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to come up and speak for or against?
Hi, my name is Joe Ponzi. I'm a pediatrician in Goldsboro. I've been here since 1980. I can't believe it. And I have some concerns. And we often are called to go to the hospital quickly because of problems in the nursery, particularly in the delivery room. And I don't dispute that there may not be a problem, but I'm not sure there won't be a problem. We've got to get there in a couple of minutes. And so if I've got traffic problems that may or may not exist, that concerns me, and it could be detrimental to the health. I think that's one thing we need to kind of consider. I am not a traffic engineer. I know nothing about traffic. But I know when we had an office in Princeton, and we wanted to change the entrance to our office, And they said no, because prospectively it could cause a problem. So I'm not sure that the statement that you have to have a problem before you look at it is totally correct. To me, that's saying wait until you have a problem and trying to fix it. But make sure ahead of time there's no problem. So I would love to have, you know, an analysis from the Department of Transportation saying this is okay, we are sure it's not going to happen, before we go ahead and say yes to something that may create some problems, okay? 5 o'clock going out of the office is horrendous. I don't even try to get out of there at 5 o'clock. I wait until 5:15 because I know at 5 o'clock they're going to be backed up right to my office, which is right down the street from the turn up from Dr. Women's office. So I'm just concerned that there's some problems potentially there. The other thing, he mentioned that the hospital has agreed upon it. Was that the whole hospital board or somebody in the hospital? Who in the hospital said this is not a problem for us? I don't know. And the hospital right now, you know, they have new leadership, and I would love to make sure that the hospital board as an organization has met and said, we think this is okay, it's not going to interfere with our ambulance services, et cetera. So those are some concerns I have. I'm not saying they're not a great, I've never seen them, but I think they're, from what I hear, a really great convenience store and gas station, but I think it's going to increase traffic, and I'm just concerned it may present some problems for us. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Who would pay for the analysis of DOT? Who would pay for that?
The Department of Transportation would.
Can I help to answer some
Yes,
question? Yes, thank you. And the question is who pays
Yeah,
for?
who would pay for that?
Yeah,
if it's-
the developer for the projects will paying for the TIA. The TIA, you know, is in the process, and like you know, explained just now, is the preliminary findings showing that we need to have a right turn lane and Memorial Drive, westbound direction, and coming to the site. So, you know, traffic always a concern. We get it, we understand that, and these entrances that we're proposing will go through the review process with DOT as well as the City of Goldsboro before we can even start constructions. So when we look at this, the TIA will help analyzing what we're proposing and also projecting the future growth of the area and how it will impact the traffic surrounding it. So based on the preliminary finding, it's not final yet, that's showing we need a right turn lane and Memorial Drive coming to the site. So like I explained to you just now, gas station is capturing the adjacent street traffic. They're not going to bring traffic from surrounding. They're just capturing it, whatever already happening in the surrounding area. So that's why the gas station coming to this location, because that's, you know, obviously is a good location and serving the community and the neighbors.
So Kenny, you said that the TIA, you're saying that it's in the process.
Yes, it's in the process being reviewed by DOT. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, it is, and that's one of those things that, again, we've got some preliminary findings, but nothing conclusive. And until they finish their analysis of this site, we can't, for the record, be definite on any final improvements to the site. But as Mr. Lewin said, if they see that there are issues with regards to the design of the site, for example, right there on Wayne Memorial Drive, if traffic is a concern there, they could very well put what we call a pork chop type island, where it would be a right in and right out only, so that no one could do a left turn as you're going from the downtown corridor to the hospital and try to make a left turn on that. They could actually require that and put that on the developers to make that improvement. But until we can hear from their final analysis, we cannot definitively say what type of improvements they will want. We're just concerned right now with the rezoning, the actual property and its use for the future. But if they do require improvements, and DOT, as we all know, they're pretty comprehensive in their analysis and what they think is best going forward, then they will end up advising the developers to front those improvements and to do so in the best interest of the public.
This is conditional use too. Right?
That is conditional zoning only for
Conditional use.
for the gas station and the convenience store only. Any other uses would have to come before the board for approval.
So if they suggest to you that they need this right lane, what he's
Right
talking about,
lane.
yeah, are you going to do it if they
Yes.
suggest that to you?
Yes. That will be pretty much what require us to do in order to develop this property for the gas station.
So this is just in the preliminary zoning, we're just,
So,
we're
For-
voting on the zoning right now,
It's
not,
the change of zone only and the conditions that are associated with the site itself. If, again, DOT comes back and actually requires that to take place, they won't be issued a driveway permit along Wayne Memorial until those improvements have been made. We'll actually have an opportunity to review that once the site plan is actually submitted. Again, the site plan can't be submitted unless the rezoning will take place.
Mr. Smith, could you answer the question about what element of the hospital heard this? Did the whole board hear it or speak to it?
Mr. Jesse Tucker, who is
Yeah,
the CEO and
sure.
president, I believe, of Waymore Hospital, was to discuss this project with my clients, and they had no objection to this site. If I could just clarify a couple of things. First of all, if an entire lane, what we've been verbally told is that DOT is looking at requiring a right turn lane to enter off of Wayne Memorial Drive. That would be, if they require that and it's put in writing, we will construct that at my client's expense. The other thing, just to be clear, when he says a gas station is not a traffic generator, that is, people don't drive from all over town to go to this gas station. The traffic that is there is what uses this gas station. And so we don't anticipate that there will be a substantial volume of traffic that comes to this location because of the Wawa station. We'd love to think that they would, but truthfully, we don't expect that. What we expect is that the traffic that is there will utilize the convenience store and the fuel lanes that are available in this location. So, any other questions?
And to further your point, the Circle K, which is within close proximity, would help defray some of that some of
That's
that
right.
traffic also. And like I said, to further your point, I think that's a worse bottleneck. The way that median at Circle K is
Absolutely.
causing more congestion. I mean, nothing against the doctor's offices, but I mean, you got patrons and people that patronize Harris Teeter, the little strip mall. Look at
McDonald's,
Wendy's and Walgreens. I mean, it's a mess. I mean, I think this will help cut into some of that traffic from that end anyway. So that's my.
There's a lot of hospital traffic that is
Right.
creating that congestion, and
Exactly.
hopefully we'll siphon off some of that out by the hospital. So,
Like,
any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Answered all yours? Thank you.
Okay, I ask again, is there any additional individuals that wish to come forward and speak for or against this rezoning? If not, I'll close the public hearing and for the council. This is a motion to adopt the recommendation for approval and consistency statement that the Goldsboro Planning Commissioner has provided and adopt the approval ordinance with the inclusion of the consistency statement, or motion to deny and adopt the ordinance to deny with the inclusion of a statement that deems this conditional rezoning request to be inconsistent. So, do I have a motion?
motion to accept and adopt.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, motion made and second. All in favor of adopting the motion for rezoning, please signify by raising your hand. Motion carried. Okay, now I'll open it up for public comment period. This is for anyone that wishes to speak on any subject can come forward. You have 3 minutes to speak. You'll see a clock on the monitors here, and please abide by the time. So anyone wishing to speak, come forward. Anyone wishing to speak? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
I think I know you, but please give us
You know
your
what
name.
I'm here about. My name is Willie Baptiste. My address is 1403 East Elm Street. I'm here for two reasons, two topics I have. One, I would prefer Kenny to address the matter of what is going on with this house, unless he has informed all of y'all, but there is a problem.
You talking about the one behind you?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have any update, Kenny?
Sir, is it pertaining to 1402 Lemon Street?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the one.
All I can say is that we do have demolition permits, that the contractor has taken steps to improve the property by demolishing those areas of the home that have been deteriorated, that there's no functionality left. So at this point in time, he's made, we believe, efforts to improve the property. Although it's not at the rate of what Mr. Baptiste would like, I understand, we still have to evaluate what has been done on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. But at this point in time, he is making progress. And so the demolition permit is in effect and will continue to be so until we see otherwise.
Well, I tend to disagree. On the back of that house is nothing but garbage piled up in the back against my fence. In the front, there's a large container that's empty now. On the corner, there's rugs. That entire corner looks like a dump. Okay? Whatever improvement they did, I don't see it. This has been 2 years now. This is my second anniversary in Goldsboro, and I've been fighting to get this house done for 2 years. They had a permit in 2010 to fix that house up. You renewed permit in 2012 to fix this house up. Here it is, 2022. It's been 12 years on this one house trying to get it done, and it happened. Now, another problem we got in that area because of the house is rodents. Okay, we have it. I'm unsatisfied with what's going on. Right now, it's been stoppage of working on the house for the past 3 weeks. They started doing something, and then they piled that stuff up, and then they left and didn't do nothing else for the past 3 weeks. You know, this whole summer's been a complete nightmare. I have a great-granddaughter at my house. She still is scared to go out in the backyard because of that house. It looks like a house of horrors, you know?
So Mr. Batiste, and I'm going to allow you a little time because Kenny came up and spoke. There has been some movement on the house this year, and obviously not too fast as you wish, but we have gotten involved in it since you brought it up here. What I'm going to ask our city manager to do is have our code enforcement people go by and check the debris that's on the street out there. I'm going to also ask our inspections department to take a look at the progress on the house and come back and provide a report back to the city manager.
Okay, I just wanted to get something going. My last little bitty topic is the committee, golf committee. I don't know what the definition of committee is, but I've been on a lot of committees. And usually a committee helps make the decision to pass on to whether it's to you or to whoever's involved in doing the work around it. I am on the golf committee. The golf committee is not a committee. It's a fundraiser. It's supposed to be the way it's been defined to me is basically for fundraising only. There's no sense of input into what's going on. You know, I really feel that, you know, I see no value of having this committee. You know, I'm really ready to get off it because there's nothing that I can do. And when someone tells me that it is his park, that tells me it's not a we thing, you know? When one person tells me he's in control of everything, then what's the purpose of having a committee to put input into it or even to do things, you know? So my question is, is there some guidelines to that committee or any committee here in Goldsboro that I should have so I can know what I am armed to do and what I can't do in terms of making input into what's going on? I really would like to know.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to also refer that. I see Mr. Sampson taking notes there. he'll get in touch with the golf committee. And yes, there is there may be a bylaws, I'm not sure what the name of the document is that provides the details as to what their focus is, what their mission and so forth, then that should be made available to you and can be made available to you.
Well, please give it to me. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next person, do we have anyone else that wishes to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I'll close this public comment period, and we'll go to items, to the consent agenda, excuse me. You've heard all of the consent agenda items, E through O, minus I, which we put under items requiring individual action. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor Ham, I move we approve the consent agenda minus item I.
Second.
Motion is made and second to approve the consent agenda. And second, is there any discussion? If not, all in favor? Oh, excuse me, there's a roll call.
Mayor Ham,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Broadway,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matthews,
Yes.
Councilman Gaylor,
Yes.
Councilman Bass.
Yes.
The consent agenda items are approved. We'll go into city manager's report.
Yes, sir. The city championship for golf will be held at the city's Goldsboro Golf Course October 1st through 2nd. Registration is now open for that. Some other events. Wayne School of Technical Arts will have their ribbon cutting on September 9th. This is the only public school on a military base in North Carolina, and there are very few across the country, so congratulations to Wayne County Public Schools and Seymour Johnson Air Force Base and everyone who will attend that school this fall. POW MIA Recognition Week is coming up September 12th through 16th. There's some very good events going on. Please check it out online. You've got the Air Force Sergeants Association Chapter 371. The city will also post some information on that, but there's a ruck march on September 12th at 08 opening ceremony at the Bryan Multi-Sport Complex. There'll also be a Veterans Dinner at the Elks Lodge, and there'll be a 24-hour vigil on Center Street downtown at the Freedom Tree, like we did last year, where individuals will carry the MIA POW flag for a 24-hour period and mention all the names of our POW MIAs back from World War II, which is over 80,000. We didn't get through that list last year, but there's plenty of opportunities for citizens to participate in what I thought was a very good event, so I raise that to your attention.
Okay, thank you. This time I'm going to read the Constitution Week proclamation that's coming up. Whereas September 17, 2022 marks the 235th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation, as well as the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through 23 as Constitution Week, and whereas the David Williams chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution does hereby acknowledge and commemorate the official recognition being given to this magnificent document on its anniversary and to the patriotic celebrations which will be observed during Constitution Week. Now therefore it be resolved that the City of Goldsboro Council does hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23, 2022 as Constitution Week in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideas that the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness, therefore, I have unto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina, to be affixed this 6th day of September 2022. Now, any council members that wish to say anything, I'll start with our newest council member over there, Mr. Bates.
No.
No comment? Okay. Mr. Gaylor?
Yes, Mayor, thank you for the opportunity. So earlier tonight, we approved the second WAF for the city of Goldsboro, which is pretty exciting. But there was some really well thought out comments and concerns that were not necessarily against the idea of putting this particular store in this particular location, but some well thought out concerns about the traffic implications along Hospital Road in between Medical Office Place and Wayne Memorial Drive. And one of them was coming from a doctor who has kept me and my son alive. And this is someone whose opinion I pay attention to, and I just want other folks that are watching this to understand when your comments are that well thought out and that well articulated, the vote may not go in your favor, but what happens after the fact may absolutely go the direction that you were looking for. Now, I had not put as much thought into the block of Hospital Road between Medical Office Place and Wayne Memorial Drive until those comments. And now it is my full intention to discuss with the city the slight adjustments to Hospital Road to ensure that there's a turn lane so folks that are coming south going into Wawa off Wayne Memorial Drive can exit off of Medical Office Place, come back down Hospital Road and turn left without impeding traffic that's trying to go straight across or turn right, which would be an adjustment to Hospital Road. And I just want to use this evening as an example of a collection of folks making comments that were not necessarily in the direction that we voted, but that were well thought out, that were civil, and that are going to absolutely lead to some things going their way. And I just wanted to point that out to everyone who's watching and listening. Thank y'all for your time tonight.
Thank you. Councilwoman Matthews.
Thank you. So I did want to let everybody know that National Suicide Prevention Week is this week. It started Sunday, September the 4th, and it will run until September the 10th. So with that in mind, District 4, we created a mental health and self-care calendar for the entire month of September. So all those who are interested, you can go to my Councilwoman page to look at that calendar and journey along with us. And we also want to send the message that you do not have to suffer alone. There are people out there who love and care for you. I am one of those persons, so please find someone to talk to. And again, don't suffer in silence. So thank you and good night.
Thank you. Mr. Pollock.
Well, first I want to thank Councilwoman Matthews for setting that calendar up. I've had very close, near and dear people have committed suicide, so appreciate that. I just want to say that I want to ensure that our city council never has to deal with the divisive nature that the entire country witnessed within one of our neighboring counties, Johnson County to be exact, in the town of Kinley, in the harsh, unethical treatment of their last town manager. I was fortunate enough to witness the level of solidarity that the supporters of Ms. Justine Jones had during her rally on Friday in Kinley. In closing, I want to recognize the passing of a Goldsboro legend and giant that did so much for so many. Coach Elvin James was not only a coach, but also a mentor to many in this community, including myself, and provided opportunities that many individuals would have given up on. He was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Please keep his wife, children, family, and friends in your prayers. That's all I have.
Mr. Broadway.
I've had a number of calls on some shootings in Goldsboro, especially in my district, because I don't usually have many shootings. And the calls were, well, what are you doing about it? And I said, we're doing as much as we can at this point in time. We're recruiting more officers. But the big deal is we've got to support our police, and it goes back, same thing I said last year. We support them. If you see something, say something. Call it in. Give them a chance. That's all I have to say.
Ms. Jones.
Yes, first I would like to thank the staff and city manager for taking the time to sit down with myself and Mr. Battle regarding 312 James Street. I think it was a very productive meeting, and I'm looking for some positive reports from that. I also want to thank Mr. Kenny Telton for working, and his staff for working with us, working out 1009 Seaboard. Thank you so much. And then I have some great news. On the 29th, the mayor, City Councilwoman Matthews, and city manager and myself welcome the students at Dillard Academy, and that was such a wonderful, joyous time. I really enjoyed it, and I have some great news. They, from the state, have increased their growth, and they are out of the low performing status. And I want to give a shout out to the principal and staff. You know, I might be a little biased because a lot of them are Continentals. And, but I am just so proud of them. And they're a group of hardworking ladies and teachers, all of them. So I wanted to give a shout out. I'm excited. Yes. And they're also our Continental's partner in education school as well. So we're over there quite much.
Ms. Jones, I'm going to speak about the Dillard Academy too, because that was getting up kind of early in the morning. It made me really appreciate teachers that get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and be out there to welcome those kids in. And I believe our city manager opened every car door that came by.
Yes.
And welcomed them in there. And but we had a very enjoyable time that day welcoming them in. And what I was impressed by was that they all came in, they got out of the cars with a lack of confidence, you know, and walked in that school. And of course they had a cheerleading group along the sidewalk there. But I didn't see a tear shed or any hesitancy on the part of anyone. They just got out and like, I belong here. I don't care if it was the first day or they were coming back. And the thing that also impressed me was the principal, Ms. Battle, knew the names of every person just about that came in down there.
Excellent.
I mean, that was really impressive. So, someone, I was talking to another teacher about that, and she said, "Well, you learn those after being there all those years." But still, I was really, really impressed with her. I want to mention a couple of things here. That one that Councilman Gaylor talked about, the task that we undertake here. When issues come before us to decide on, they are extremely delicate, critical, and important and sensitive to the city of Goldsboro and to the residents and the businesses that we act on or act on those issues and how it affects them. And as I said earlier tonight when we were talking about code changes and so forth, we really press upon our council members to do our homework before we undertake to change codes or act on a rezoning or whatever. Make sure we understand them, because they do affect people's lives and their welfare and so forth. So I don't have to tell you that, you already know it, but it does help. I think occasionally to restate that. One other thing, two other things, make this quick. Council member Broadway spoke about crime and people calling him. A couple of weekends ago, I attended an event that Mr. Mark Colbert hosted out at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. And it was on a Sunday afternoon to pray for the city and the crime. And unfortunately, there was about 15 people there. And you were there too, Councilman Batts. Might have been 20, but it wasn't very many were there. And
25.
And so were you. I'm sorry.
I counted.
And so were you. Yep. And so we just, our public, our residents here, our citizens just need to be conscious of what's going on around us. And if we see something, take some action. Call Crime Stoppers or call the police department or something. But if you see a potential crime taking place or a possible threat, don't ignore it. Take some action on it. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that, or not the fact, but the group that was here tonight representing the women's ministry, the ABBA organization. As I said, I never heard of that organization, but what I found out in talking with Pastor Hayes, they are very effective, but additionally, there are other organizations like that that we don't know about here in Goldsboro doing good work. They don't get in the newspaper, they don't come to the council meetings or whatever, but they're out there doing some good work for the betterment of this community, and it really does my heart good, quite frankly, to hear and see these organizations that are undertaking this role, trying to do something for the city of Goldsboro. And that's all the comments I have. If there are no others, we'll adjourn.